Alexis will be taking us underway reasonably soon and talking fundamentals, and we have Orlando in to have a look at some charts. We do have Paul Hutton and Geoff in helping me out for the first hour. They may wander in and out of the out of different roles during this time, and will give us some help if there's any gaps to fill up any content as well. Thanks for turning up, guys. Alexis, Jackson Hole, interesting time. Boy, we came out of that in a weird way.
Yes, I agree.
I've
a
never
lot
seen
of
it before,
nice
Alexis.
movement. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it though, Alexis, where you come out and there's some, some areas where you see absolute dollar weakness, and there's other areas where you seem to see dollar strength, and you're just like, so pound, Kiwi, Aussie just smashing through levels, indices smashing through levels, gold going nowhere. It's a strange look for mine. It really is.
Yeah, definitely is. I mean, I think gold is still probably is consolidating. I think it's a lot of reaction that's happening, which is more sentiment based than having any I think fundamental basis on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over to you. Let's hear fundamentals, Alexis.
All right. So thanks, Paul. And okay, so I guess the Jackson Hole Symposium was this weekend, and I mean, we probably will see a couple of gaps happening on Monday, but it's really a question mark as to which direction, because it really depends on, like I said, it's a very sentiment driven move, and I think coincidentally as well, the Japanese the Japanese guy also kind of quit over the weekend just before Friday. So I think this week, while the symposium is going along, I would like to actually take a look at the Bank of Japan, because being a risk-on currency, I think there is a lot of speculation on whether or not will him quitting affect the Japanese yen itself. So just going to share the couple of stuff which I think the senior traders will probably know, but I guess for new traders, it's really about why the Japanese has such high debt, but how come it's still pretty strong in terms of being a risk-off currency. So I think just a brief fact that it is the fourth biggest GDP in the world. And among the Asian currencies, it's one of the largest traded Asian currencies, not including China, because China is a closed market, so we're not trading it. And this is actually very similar to an Asian proxy in terms of sentiment. So if the economy of the world sees Asia doing well, it actually does boost the Japanese yen, because it does kind of act as Asian proxy as well. So that's the interesting part, where moving from now out of the COVID, or maybe through the COVID period, and the Asian currencies or the Asian countries handling COVID seem to be holding its own. If you compare number of deaths, you compare number of infections. I mean, there are resurgences, but I think the Asian countries are doing their best in trying to manage this, and I think it is also reflected in the yen strength. So fundamentally, my bias for the yen is still continued long against the US dollar, at least, like I said, I think I mentioned before, at least till September, where the question mark of the election, what the election will bring, or where the election will go to. But the general consensus is basically a softening of the dollar versus a stronger yen. But if we compare that a little bit together with the technical aspects, and I'll just quickly share a trading view chart on the dollar yen, just to see where that will take us into the so-called next period of yen trading. Okay, I can't quite share it, but it will be great if, I think, Paul, you could change it to a dollar yen chart on a either a daily or a weekly time frame. Yeah. So I think the really great thing about Zoom is it kind of allows us to annotate on each other's charts. So if we look at the weekly chart, I think there's this area here that is really of interest, because it is kind of forming a sort of a triangle-ish type of, if you kind of zoom out a little bit and you compare it across the board, we are at a very interesting area technically. And so if we kind of layer on the fundamental bias to it, should the continued perceived weakness of the dollar versus the risk-off currency strength of the yen, should it break through this level, I think it has quite a leg to go to, which, if taking advantage of it on the shorter time frames, it will be really interesting. On the other hand, I think the probability for this is still there, but I think if we are just talking about probabilities and coupled with a little bit of a midterm fundamental bias, it's going to be a less probability to the long side, a bit more probably to the downside. So I am really kind of looking forward to when this level will be smashed through. Maybe not next week, but along the coming months, as the new leader on the board of the Bank of Japan, on the monetary to like handling, because according to the news I read, in terms of monetary policy, Abe's monetary policy seems to be acceptable in their government, so they're not looking to diverge from the policy as of now. So a lot of the news speculation is saying that, yeah, we got a new guy stepping up, but it looks like there's not going to be any major changes on their monetary policy, which is why I think there still will have a chance of a continued strength of the yen in terms of just comparing versus the perceived weakness of the dollar. Yeah, thoughts? Anyone on trading this interesting dollar yen chart? I think on the shorter time frames, it should be interesting on next week's chart for the dollar yen.
I'm assuming.
Love that we're
yeah. Sorry.
Perfect cue.
After you, buddy.
Yeah, love that we're at the bottom of that little range that there is there, Lexi. But there's kind of a hint of a descending triangle as well, if you like. To trade patterns, but gee whiz, I find it very, very difficult to trade this pair. Very unreliable and very spiky. So I need some help there, and I thank you for your analysis.
So what's your thought on next week, on this week, Alexis? What are we looking for?
I think medium term, I'm still bearish on dollar yen, but I think next week at the technical levels on the shorter time frames, it will be interesting because there are opportunities for retracement, especially on my favorite time frame, the H1, where last Friday I think the H1 closed off with a very sharp dip against the yen, so the dollar yen was virtually shot down.
A bit of a reaction after not only to the resignation but also the Jackson Hole, right?
Yeah, correct. So it was so I do think, of course, next week I mean, it is very bearish and my bias is still short, so I will prefer to kind of look for opportunities towards the short side, but I'm not against taking retracements towards the upside as well. And like Geoff said, on the bigger time frame, it really does it does look like the triangle pattern is happening. So if we could actually couple that with a breakout, it could be a really nice ride. So it's really just a matter of not rushing into it and just waiting for the setup to come. And I always emphasize fundamentals is medium to medium term, at least a couple of weeks to a couple of months for it to kind of grow into its direction. But for technicals, if you just follow the strategy with your profit levels, profit targets, I think we could kind of take some pips off this chart.
Nice, Alexis. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay, let's get into having a look at some more stuff on charts. We've got a bit of stuff on chat, actually. We'll just see if there's any questions we need answered. Of course, I clicked on chat on Zoom and it disappeared. And the way that only chat can do on Zoom, where has it gone? Here we go. I think we'll leave that for now, Robbie. Is that Williams% R on market scan? No, that is that's my own scan for something separate that I do. Sorry, Rob. That's a pre-programmed scanner for me for some stuff. I'm not quite sure why I'm on this.